that told him that though?
Because his statement is wow.
And I just want to say this to y'all. When they raided my houses and my property, they was asking about Wack. Wack, loose cannon, 600, and this internet stuff.
God damn, triple
It's been 3 years.
Obviously, you ain't going to court because you was going to court.
Triple
Every time you go to court, they gonna let us know you going to court. So
I can't go to court for immigration if I got an open gun
what
case,
about
fool.
the gun case, bull?
I can't go to court for immigration if I got an open gun
They will give you
case,
your
man.
time.
Welcome back to Fame Radar, where fame meets the facts and nothing stays hidden. The hip-hop world is reeling after a bombshell leak reportedly exposed Wack 100 in a secretly recorded conversation, allegedly leaked by none other than 21 Savage.
Wack that told him that though?
Because his statement is wow.
The footage, already spreading like wildfire online, features Wack 100 casually discussing sensitive industry details, including private deals, criminal affiliations, and confidential movements involving major artists. The Wiretap has ignited massive controversy, not just for what was said, but for who released it. According to insiders, the audio was pulled from a phone call Wack believed to be secure. However, 21 Savage, who has had ongoing tension with Wack over past clubhouse clashes and street rumors.
And I just want to say this to y'all. When they raided my houses and my property, they was asking about Wack. Wack, loose cannon, 600, and this internet stuff.
Allegedly leaked the recording in retaliation. The clip shows Wack naming powerful figures, questioning loyalty among top rappers, and even hinting at having protected certain individuals from legal heat.
Yeah, after you got that message, after you got the message, you hit up Big U's wife. You said, "Sis, 911. One sec, let me get solo." And you gave him a heads up.
What I tell him?
You said, "One sec, let me get solo. He needs to leave. Bad." In caps, all caps. He needs to leave.
I said so bad, right?
Yeah.
Wack's immediate response came through a shaky live stream where he appeared rattled and emotional. "Y'all don't understand what's coming," he warned. "They trying to set me up with my own words." His breakdown only added fuel to the speculation that this situation may involve federal attention. Social media exploded within minutes of the leak. Fans are debating whether 21 Savage crossed a line or exposed the truth. Others are focused on the fallout, wondering how many of the names mentioned in the clip could now be targeted by investigations or retaliations. Legal analysts say if the tape was obtained without consent, there could be major implications. But if verified, the content alone may already be under review by federal authorities, especially given Wack's history of towing the line between music and the streets. What started as beef has now turned into something far more dangerous. With careers, reputations, and possibly legal charges hanging in the balance, Wack 100 may be facing the biggest threat of his career, and 21 Savage just lit the fuse. Wack 100 has spent years loudly accusing others of being snitches. But now, a leaked wiretap, allegedly dropped by 21 Savage, has people digging back into his 2005 federal gun case. Suddenly, that old case has fresh eyes on it, and new questions are being raised about Wack's history. What if he's been playing both sides the entire time? Here's what reportedly happened.
And I'm going through it. I said, yeah, I don't know nothing about this. He said, man, y'all too tight. I see Big U signature. I see other signatures. I'm reading it. And what shook me was the police issued device to communicate with law enforcement in form of a BlackBerry.
Picture this. Someone spends years calling others rats, day in and day out. Then one day, a video surfaces showing a badge briefly peeking out of his wallet. That split second may have unraveled everything he built. Now, whether that badge was real or not, that's not even the wildest part. It's who might have put the footage out that's really got people talking. Reports say the leak didn't just float around the internet. It may have been dropped directly by 21 Savage. Not casually shared, but intentionally released. Word is, 21 had been sitting on the footage for a while, waiting for the right moment. And when looking at the history, it's understandable why. Wack had been publicly targeting 21 for years, accusing him of cooperating with immigration officials to protect his legal status and even trying to tie him to the YSL investigation. Despite that, 21 mostly stayed silent, addressing it a few times, but never feeding the drama. But if 21 really leaked this video now, it wouldn't be petty, it would be calculated. After years of being called out, this would be a move that says everything, without saying a single word. If 21 Savage really did leak that wiretap, this wasn't some petty move, it was calculated chess. After years of Wack 100 sneak dissing him on Clubhouse, 21 finally responded without saying a single word. Just one move, and the message was loud. It felt like he had finally reached his limit. And when connecting the dots, a bigger picture starts forming. Wack has spent years pointing fingers at others, calling them informants, accusing them of cooperating. But now it's looking more like a smokescreen. Some believe he's been calling out everyone else to keep attention away from himself. And this isn't the first time questions have come up about Wack's ties to law enforcement. Just a few months ago, reports surfaced that Big U had been indicted on federal RICO charges. But the twist, before Big U even turned himself in, he called out Wack 100 in a video, claiming he was working with the FBI. That alone would raise eyebrows, but it gets deeper. According to insiders, before the RICO case made headlines, before any arrests or paperwork became public, Wack had already contacted Big U's wife. He reportedly sent her a message saying something like, 911, he needs to leave. Before any law enforcement moved in, Wack was already making calls.
I'm gonna give you some time. I don't know, 24 hours, 12 hours, 5 hours, 6 hours, 1 hour. I don't know. I'm gonna give you some time though, Gunner, for you to go ahead on and confess.
And that didn't look like a warning. It looked like advanced knowledge. It looked like someone who knew what was coming and was trying to appear helpful while staying one step ahead. Then, after Big U was arrested, Wack didn't back down. He jumped online, accusing Big U of being the one in bed with federal agents. He even claimed Big U used a BlackBerry phone to communicate with the feds, trying to flip the entire narrative. But instead of clearing suspicion, it made people look at Wack even closer. But instead of putting suspicions to rest, Wack 100's actions only raised more questions. How is he always the first to know what's about to happen? How is he consistently close to every situation, yet never the one directly involved? That call to Big U's wife didn't feel like a warning. It felt like a calculated move from someone trying to play both sides of the game. Almost like he was trying to look helpful while standing behind the very thing he warned about. That's when the perception of Wack began to shift. People started to wonder if he was truly the street watchdog he claimed to be, or someone who had positioned himself perfectly in the middle, avoiding the consequences that everyone else around him seemed to face. And all of this current speculation leads back to a much older case from 2005. According to reports, Wack 100 and his brother were pulled over in Texas. At first, it seemed routine, a traffic stop for speeding. Officers asked a few standard questions, and Wack told them they were on their way to a funeral in Oklahoma. But when police asked to search the vehicle, Wack declined. That's when a K9 unit was brought in. The dog signaled, and a search turned up 3 loaded firearms, a shotgun, a rifle, and a pistol. Now here's the part that stands out. Both Wack and his brother were convicted felons at the time. Under federal law, possession of firearms in that situation means automatic time. No bargaining, no gray area. That's the kind of charge that ends careers before they even begin. But somehow, Wack was released on bail and returned to Los Angeles like nothing happened. Then, silence. 2 years passed with no media reports, no court updates. Then, out of nowhere, the entire case was dismissed. Not because of a legal error, not for lack of evidence, but with a phrase rarely used in serious federal cases, in the interest of justice. For anyone familiar with the system, especially when it comes to felons with weapons charges, that phrase raises immediate red flags. It isn't common. It doesn't show up for no reason. In cases like that, it often points to one thing: cooperation. And that's the detail that continues to haunt this entire story. That phrase, "in the interest of justice," doesn't just appear in court paperwork without reason. It's not a courtesy. It's not a show of mercy. In many federal cases, it usually means one thing: someone gave something in return. Years later, Wack 100 tried to explain it away, claiming the case got dismissed because of an illegal search. But that didn't line up. The court records were public. There was no mention of an improper search or legal misstep, just a clean dismissal without explanation, no motion, no evidence suppression, just gone. And what really makes that situation suspicious is the timing. Just a couple years later, Wack's former boss at death row, Suge Knight, began facing major federal heat. According to The Hollywood Reporter, Suge was listed in a gang injunction and surrounded by federal pressure. Raids happened, names got listed, paperwork surfaced, but through it all, Wack's name was never mentioned, not even once. Then came the high-profile kidnapping case involving the Main Street Crips. That case was connected to a situation involving Shaquille O'Neal. In the court documents, someone named Back appeared, making calls, leaving messages, moving strangely behind the scenes. And for years, some have claimed that Back was really a nickname for Wack 100. Fast forward to now, Wack is everywhere online, calling out other rappers like Gunna, BG, Brick Baby, 21 Savage, and J Diggs. Always pointing fingers, always playing the role of street authority. But that 2005 case, it continues to clash with the image he projects today. In the federal system, felons don't walk away from gun charges like that, especially not when 3 loaded weapons are found in a vehicle. It's either the luckiest break imaginable, or it's a result of a deal made behind closed doors. And now, with a recent video allegedly showing what looked like a police ID in Wack's wallet, all those questions from years ago are resurfacing. The badge, the rumors, the long history of unexplained access, it all comes back. Not just to the case, not just to the beefs, but to the one question that never got answered. What was traded in exchange for that case to disappear so quietly? Because Wack has built his entire brand around exposing others. But the more people revisit the timeline, the more it seems like his own chapter might be the one worth reading. There's one word Wack 100 loves to throw around: snitch. It's his favorite insult, his go-to label. Anytime a rapper gets arrested or accepts a plea deal, Wack's on Clubhouse within hours, loudly accusing them of cooperating. He did it with Gunna, claiming he had a 2-hour interrogation recording and threatening to release it if Gunna didn't confess to cooperating. But that tape, it never surfaced. Nothing was ever posted. Wack kept talking, but no evidence followed. He made similar claims about BG, a rapper who already served more than a decade behind bars. Wack accused him of snitching, too, even though no paperwork supported the claim. In fact, BG's former cellmate publicly stated that BG never folded and held his ground. Despite all that, Wack kept pushing the narrative. No documentation, no court transcripts, just accusations. And for those not paying close attention, it worked. On the surface, it gave Wack the appearance of someone holding people accountable. But the deeper you look, the more a pattern begins to emerge. Wack always gets the loudest when pressure's on him. Every time he faces scrutiny, the spotlight shifts. He starts accusing someone else. It's deflection by design. Then there's another issue. He records conversations, constantly. That's not standard behavior. Most in the industry agree. Recording every call and interaction is a red flag. It raises the question, why? Why collect so much audio unless you plan to use it later or hand it over to someone else? And more concerning, several artists who've interacted with Wack on Clubhouse have later ended up facing legal trouble. Loose Cannon, for example, appeared on the platform, talked freely, and eventually got caught in a case. The link may be indirect, but the pattern is becoming hard to ignore. Wack 100's public image is built on exposing others, but when examined closely, his own playbook reveals tactics that seem more calculated than righteous. And that contradiction is now at the center of a growing conversation. Now, What's raising even more eyebrows is how Wack 100 has maintained strong relationships with media outlets, influencers, and content platforms, all while stirring controversy behind the scenes. Every time his name trends, it's tied to drama, yet he always controls the narrative. Whether it's leaked calls, viral clips, or breaking news on Clubhouse, the stories always seem to center around him, never against him. That kind of positioning doesn't happen by accident. It takes access, timing, and connections to stay in the spotlight while dodging accountability. Wack's media presence isn't just loud, it's effective. He fuels headlines, spins narratives, and sets off chain reactions that echo far beyond the moment. But the question remains, who really benefits from that visibility? Because while artists are catching indictments, getting exposed online, and losing deals over what they say in public spaces, Wack keeps expanding his reach. From artist management to label deals to podcast appearances, his influence continues to grow, even as controversy surrounds him. It's led some observers to ask whether he's leveraging chaos to build brand power. And this is where things get more complicated. If someone consistently profits from the downfall of others, while never facing direct fallout themselves, at what point does it stop being coincidence? How much of this is strategy? How much is calculation? Wack 100's ability to navigate these situations, stay connected to law enforcement narratives, and drive industry drama, all while preserving his platform, is unusual. And when you look at his track record, avoided charges, media dominance, leaked content, the pieces start to look like something much bigger than just loud opinions. So now, the culture is watching closely, because if there's a machine behind the madness, people are ready to uncover how it works, and who's really been pulling the strings from the start. Whether he's exposed or the feds already know too much, the focus now isn't just about proving Wack 100's role, it's about asking what it all means, if the whispers are true. What does it say about the narratives the culture has accepted? What does it reveal about the platforms and credibility that have been handed out so freely? This situation has gone far beyond jokes on social media. It's no longer about memes or clubhouse arguments. Real lives, real charges, and real reputations are being impacted by the moves made behind the scenes. And if someone with that much reach has been manipulating things from within, the entire foundation starts to look shaky. Wack has spent years branding others as informants, rats, and snakes, but now the microscope is on him. And the growing question isn't just if he's connected, it's whether the most vocal critic has been the one orchestrating the noise all along. If that's the case, then this game has been compromised for a very long time. And the scariest part? Wack isn't fading into the background. He's still online, still talking, still playing chess while everyone else is playing checkers. Whatever he says next could be the final piece that unlocks the whole truth. If you're locked in and want more stories that go beneath the surface, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Click one of the videos on your screen to keep watching. The next twist might already be on the way.